Welcome, everyone, to this Professional Development Hour presentation brought to you proudly by the Atlanta Metro chapter of the Georgia Society of Professional Engineers, an affiliate of the National Society of Professional Engineers. Before we begin, we'd like to let you know that any opinions presented tonight are solely the opinions of the presenter and not that of the Georgia Society of Professional Engineers, the National Society of Professional Engineers, or any other of its affiliates. We certainly hope you will enjoy tonight's presentation, so sit back and relax. And on with the show.
Okay, go ahead. All right, everyone. Our presentation today is U.S. Army Corps of Engineers overview and the mission in the Southeast. Our presenter is Chris Smith. He is Engineering and Construction Division, South Atlantic Division Chief. He is has over 39 years of experience in engineering and construction with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers in both civil works and military construction. He's a fellow Georgia Tech grad. Go Jackets. And so without further ado, please join me in welcoming Chris.
All right, thank you. So number one, I'm an engineer, not a professional presenter, so be prepared to be disappointed. To all the veterans out there, I want to say thank you for your service. My dad was he fought in World War II, fought the Battle of the Bulge, and very proud of what he did. But I thank you for your service, and because I know freedom isn't free. As Jesus just said, I've been doing this for 39 years. It'll be 40 in January, and I made the life-changing decision that I'm moving on to my next phase of life, retirement, in January. And so when you fill out your retirement papers for the Army, it's like TurboTax. You fill out, you answer a bunch of questions, it generates some forms, you hit submit, and a big screen comes up. It says, "Congratulations, your retirement's been accepted." So my wife and I decided to go out to dinner to celebrate. And so we went to a very fancy restaurant in Atlanta. And when we got there, the host met us, and she said, "Sir, I can't let you in. It's after 6. You need a tie." So I didn't realize that. So I went back to the car and started hunting around for something. Well, I couldn't find a tie, but I did find a set of jumper cables. So I put the jumper cables around my neck, and I went back into the hostess. She says, "Sir, you look like a nice gentleman. I'm going to let you in, but don't start anything while you're in here." Ouch. All right. I got to wake my pointer up here. All right. Already got a first failure. Any electrical engineers in here? All right, we're going to have to do it the old-fashioned way. Maybe. There we go. So the Corps of Engineers has been around 249 years. We're actually 2 days younger than the U.S. Army. In Army, combat engineers have participated in every conflict that the United States has been. We help grow the nation by doing surveying, by reclaiming the West for canals, railroads. Our explorers, Lewis and Clark, right? 2 of the greatest map makers. Our legacy is things that you see in Washington, D.C., the Washington Monument, the Capitol, the Library of Congress, and many of the memorials. Our portfolio includes the Panama Canal, which was built in the 1920s, In fact, where I work, our Mobile district, and we'll talk about that in a minute, is doing a study for the Panamanians. The second set of locks that the French built are having issues, and so they've come to us to help troubleshoot those. We also repaired the power grid following Irma Marie in Puerto Rico. Restored power to the whole island. Took about a year. And then, of course, New Orleans, after the failure of the levees, we went back and rebuilt a $14 billion protection system. That's the cover of the first issue of Life. Some of you won't remember Life, but I do. And, of course, that has the core castle on there. And many of you are familiar with our projects here in Georgia, right? Lake Lanier, Lake Allatoona, fishing at West Point. Anyone go down to West Point and go fishing? No? Yes? Okay. So here's a timeline of the Corps through our nation's history. Again, in 1775, the first chief of engineers was appointed. In 76 was our nation's birthday. In the 1800s, the Corps built forts, Fort McHenry, and others for the War of 1812. In the 1820s, we improved navigation on the Ohio and Mississippi rivers, and that was one of our starting points with our civil works. In the 1860s, we built railroads, did a lot of topographic surveying, and it was President Lincoln who thought of the Transcontinental Railroad to bring the nation together, and the Corps of Engineers did all the surveying for that. In 1882, there were great floods on the Mississippi. And at that time, Congress called on the Corps of Engineers to do emergency response. Since then, we have responded to local disasters throughout. In 1925, we built our first hydroelectric facility, Wilson Dam, in Muscle Shoals, Alabama, on the Tennessee River. It was originally designed to give power during wartime to munitions factories. But since then, our hydro facilities generate power all the time. In the 40s, Congress passed a number of flood control acts, which gave us our civil works mission, building dams, harbors, canals, locks throughout the nation. Today we have over 400 lakes in our reservoir, in our portfolio, and we receive 260 million visitors each year. In the 70s, I think everyone remembers the environmental movement, right? So then we had to comply with NEPA, the National Environmental Policy Act. Everything we do requires an environmental impact statement or some kind of assessment. Clean Water Act, we're an enforcer of that. We also got into permitting. In the 90s, that was a decade of change for us, especially with 1992, Hurricane Andrew hit Miami. I personally worked that disaster on two fronts. One is a hydraulic engineer, and then I was sent and I actually worked, you're going to laugh, portable toilets and portable showers. But that was a very important mission for those people helping to recover. Today,
Chris,
yes.
you said hydraulic engineers?
Yeah.
So what is that in your field?
In my field, that's helping the water move in various directions, whether that's through canals or water control structures. I've done a lot of work on dams personally. So in 2000, we responded to 9/11. Again, helping clear the disaster field, which began our involvement in the global war on terror. And we did nation building in Afghanistan for many years, providing Afghanis housing, schools, hospitals, and other facilities. So just a brief history there, just to give you an overview of all that we do. Even today, we're working in the recovery of Helene in North Carolina, in Milton down in Florida. And who knows what the nation has for us next. So the Corps of Engineers is really a civilian agency. We have about 800 officers that are our leadership, but almost 40,000 civilians throughout the nation. And we're not just engineers, we're architects, we have construction managers, scientists, technicians, project managers. Just like any company, we have HR, counsel, contracting and finance, and real estate. We really do a lot of things for the nation. Just like companies that have strategic plans, the Army has what they call campaign plans. And ours is based on delivering, let me make sure I quote it right. Delivering vital engineering solutions with our partners to secure the nation, energize our economy, and reduce disaster risk. And everything we do is built on people. People are our most valuable asset. And you can see our 4 principles: people, readiness, partnerships, and innovate. And again, we have 4 lines that we work around. National support, whether that's natural disasters or national disasters. Modernize, again, just like most companies, we want to be on cutting edge. We want to improve our partnerships. Everything we do it has a partner, whether that's a local government or a military facility. And then program and project delivery. We deliver projects for the nation. I like to tell people I'm in the quality of life building business, whether that's building ports or dams or barracks or hospitals for our troops. And we define winning as safely finishing quality projects on time and within budget.
Question?
Yes.
Where you were talking about 40,000 civilians, are they all employees, or is that a large portion, perhaps contracts?
Those are all Corps of Engineers employees.
Thank you.
So this is how we're aligned. We're in over 90 countries, but in the United States we're in 9 regions. I personally work here in the South Atlantic region. If you notice, we follow the river boundaries. Our civil works, the water, is based on rivers. The military mission is based on states. And to answer your question, 40% of our civil works is contracted out, and about 80% of our military missions is contracted out. 100% of our construction is contracted out. We don't own a broom, we don't own a shovel. We count on the private sector to deliver for us.
But you manage the construction?
We manage the construction. We represent the owner.
Right. Thank you.
You do the design also.
We do design in-house, but we also do a lot of design build, where we ask the contractor we give him a scope of work, design to our specifications and build it. Or we also contract out the design if it's something that we're not have the expertise on. Something like a hospital. We don't have the resident expertise, so we'll contract that out, manage the design and manage the construction. So here in the South Atlantic Division, where I've worked the last 22 years, we do the civil works, which is moving the water, military, readiness and contingency operations. And here in the Southeast, that keeps us quite busy in the summers with all the tropical activity, environmental, and again, sustainability, right? Looking at how we can reuse our projects. I tell people I do projects cradle to cradle because we always try to recycle and reuse. And again, here's all the things that we do. We can do master planning, construction management, engineering design, dredging. We operate and maintain locks and dams, disaster response, value engineering. That's something where we look at our designs and try to deliver the same value at a different or better way. Coastal structures, hydraulic modeling, all kinds of modeling. And then we also have 7 labs that we can reach out to in the Corps of Engineers. Here's our footprint in the Southeast. We go, again, we follow the river boundaries, so we go up a little bit into Virginia, up into Bassett, Virginia. There's a dam up there, Philpott Dam, and that's our Wilmington, North Carolina district. We have a Charleston district, Savannah, Georgia, Jacksonville, where I started my career. I spent the first 18 years there, in Mobile, Alabama. And they go into the Pascagoula River Basin there in Mississippi. For military construction, again, we have North Carolina, Tennessee, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, Florida. We also do cover Central and South America and the Caribbean. And that's our leadership team. We're commanded by a brigadier general. We have a command sergeant major. A colonel is our deputy. And then these two people are senior executives appointed by Congress. And this lady, Miss Hall, is my direct supervisor. Just want to show you some of our workload over the years. So this year we got to $5 billion. That's in-house labor and then contracting. $5 billion. We just awarded the Corps of Engineers' largest contract, $3 billion over 10 years for a dam in South Florida, earthen embankment, 18 miles. It'll cost $1 million a day, roughly, to keep that thing going.
Chris, is that for the entire, or just the Southeast?
Just the Southeast. Yeah, our portfolio probably was about $40 billion this year.
Where's that dam?
It'll be around Fort Lauderdale. It's part of our Everglades restoration project, which I'll talk about in a few minutes. And again, you can see we have on board in the Southeast about 3,800 people. And again, most of our mission is contracted out to help us with all that work. Again, there's the river boundaries. And again, our Caribbean district, which we just stood up in July. Following Hurricanes Harvey, Irma, and Maria, Congress passed what's called the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law bill, as we call it. And we got another $1.5 billion of construction projects to do. Investigations or studies that we do that lead to projects. We don't quite know what the answer is, but we have planners that study our watersheds and recommend things. And then we got $400 million of projects to help us repair our infrastructure. One of the things that we're working on is replacing all of our steel with fiber reinforced polymers that have a longer life cycle so that we can save money in the long term. Again, you can see the spending on Bill, and the bulk of it went to Puerto Rico. They're up to about $5 billion in projects with hurricane recovery. We also got some money for Herbert Hoover Dike, which I'll talk about a little later on. It was the Corps' largest dam safety rehabilitation project ever. One of the things we did after following Irma and Maria is we did a comprehensive study of the South Atlantic coast, all of the southeast coast, including the Gulf. We identified where the most risk was. Oop, excuse me a second. Where the most risk was. We also studied where the sediment was. Where's there sand that's good enough to place on our beaches? Coastal storm hazards. What could come towards us, and then also a bunch of strategies to help both local governments and the federal government protect our vulnerable coasts. Our population in the United States has migrated towards our coast. Therefore, every hurricane represents new challenges and economic disasters for us. So I'm going to cover some of our business lines in the Southeast. Again, I'm trying to go fast to be conscious of time. So we have, what happened?
I think you hit the blank.
I hit the what?
You have a blank on your...
No, I'm good. I'm sorry. So we have in the Southeast over 5,000 miles of navigable channels. Inland waterways, we have the 10 Tom waterway, which goes from Mobile all the way up to Ohio. Barges will go up light loaded, cut over to the Ohio River and come back down the Mississippi fully loaded. We have 33 navigation locks and 10 major harbors that we maintain. We also maintain a lot of beaches. Beaches aren't just for recreation. They actually serve a purpose of preventing damages inland. We design dunes, we design jetties, we design breakwaters, and provide protection to these communities. Now, I will say that the federal government makes investment based on benefits. So we have a large group of economists that determine what the benefits would be of our project, and it has to have a BC ratio greater than 1. Most likely they're greater than 3 to compete for funding. We also have a number of deep draft harbors, and I'll talk about some individually, but the biggest ones are Miami, Savannah, Charleston, and Jacksonville. We also maintain our own shallow draft fleet of dredges. Industry is not interested in going to small harbors, and so we have 4 dredges that we maintain in our Wilmington district. They can go in and get to the small harbors that are important to our local economies. It's the only shallow draft fleet in USACE, and we do a lot of work on the Atlantic and the Gulf, keeping those small harbors open. So after the Panama Canal was, the second lane was added, Congress told us to hurry up and to deepen our harbors so that we could take the bigger ships. And these became what the administration called the "we can't wait" harbors under President Obama. Again, Miami, Savannah, Charleston, and Jacksonville. This is a graphic of the Savannah Harbor. Has anyone ever been down to Savannah and seen all the big ships come in? Right? So this project came in at just about $1 billion. 500 million of it was these green boxes, which was environmental mitigation for deepening it. We had to build a reservoir of fresh water to keep the salt water back. We had to build dissolved oxygen facilities to pump the river full of oxygen for the fish. We did a lot of marsh work up here. And then we got to deepen the harbor through the terminals here. I guess that's, what is that, Grove City? But anyway, these are the terminals. Now, the limiting factor getting into Savannah Harbor is the Talmadge Bridge. And you may have seen articles that Congress is considering raising that bridge. So get the ships in. Jacksonville Harbor, same thing. With the bigger ships, we went from 42 feet to 47. A lot of cars come into Jacksonville. And also, the Marines have a big terminal at Blunt Island. Charleston Harbor was originally 45 feet deep. We went to 54. If you own a BMW, it probably came in through Charleston. Charleston is one of the biggest where cars come in the most. We call that roll on, roll off. Cars will roll on from United States manufacturers to go overseas, and they'll roll off from foreign manufacturers. Another harbor, which is not a weekend wait, is Mobile Harbor. We're deepening that currently, and as soon as we get done, Walmart is going to build one of their biggest distribution facilities just north of that harbor. We're also looking at harbors in Gulfport, Port Everglades down in South Florida. That's where Florida gets its gasoline. Brunswick, I'm sure you're familiar with that. A lot of cars go in there. And Wilmington Harbor up in North Carolina. So other than harbors, we also have a lot of multi-purpose projects. We have 33 diverse projects in our division. We have 55 dams, but 33 have these project purposes. We generate hydropower. We mitigate for risk, flood. We support navigation, water supply and water quality, fish and wildlife, and of course recreation. Here's our inland navigation. These are all locks. Again, you can see this is the Tin Tom Waterway, and this is the Tennessee, the Black Warrior Tom Bigby Waterway. You can go across the state of Florida from one side or the other. There's a lock here in Augusta on the Savannah River, and then there's a few locks up in North Carolina. We have, I think, 33 locks in our portfolio. This is a project that I'm very proud of. I worked on it personally. The Portuguese Dam in Ponce, Puerto Rico. It's a flood control dam. It is a roller compacted, thick arch dam. And again, I was talking to someone, it's sized for a seismic event, earthquake of 8.4. Very, very, very large dam. Completed maybe about 10 years ago. Recreation. So we have more land than the National Park Service. We have 41 lakes across the southeast, 53 million visits. Lake Lanier and Lake Hartwell are usually in the top 5 for visitations every year. Generate $2.7 million worth of spending within our lakes and create all kinds of jobs locally. And again, you can see all the diverse recreation sites we have in the southeast. We're also good stewards of the land. We have big environmental programs. We have mitigation lands. We take care of 35 threatened and endangered species. We do timber harvesting and timber management. That money is returned to the Treasury. We also have park rangers and other workers that help maintain our diverse ecosystems. And we'll talk about Everglades restoration in just a few minutes. Again, you can see where we have environmental stewardship projects. Hydropower. So we have 14 hydropower projects here in the southeast. We're the second largest Corps of Engineers generator. Northwest, the Bonneville projects are number one. We have 2.3 million kilowatts capacity, 2 with pump storage. So at our Richard B. Russell project in Georgia and our Carter's Dam up in North Georgia, we generate power during the day. The water goes downstream and captured in a pool, and at night we pump the water back up the reservoir when power is cheap, and then we sell it again the next day. A very good way to generate revenue. Our power is marketed by the Department of Energy through the Southeast Power Administration. And again, you can see all of our hydropower units. One of the things we do is flood risk management. Dams are not there for you to go boating. They're actually there to prevent flooding. So what we do is we capture the flood coming out of the mountains, and then we let it out slowly, either through hydropower units or through the gates, and prevent. So we've prevented $2.4 billion worth of flood damages over the last couple of decades. And we have 14 reservoirs with that purpose. I talked a lot about South Florida restoration. It's one of the largest ecosystem restorations in the world. 16,000 square miles, basically going from Disney World, Orlando, to the tip of Florida, Everglades National Park. A very complex and controversial project. So before before man took over Florida, the marshes would typically overflow, go through Lake Okeechobee, which is the second largest freshwater lake in the United States, and overflow into the Everglades. Then in the 1800s, a Philadelphia lawyer named Hamilton Diston came, and he figured out, you ever hear of selling swampland in Florida? Well, he was the original. He figured out how to dike and drain the Everglades. And so the Corps of Engineers came in here, and we made Swiss cheese out of South Florida. We can direct the water almost any way we want, and basically cut off the natural ecosystem. As values changed over the years, we are now working to restore that ecosystem, to maintain a more natural flow through this corridor back into Everglades National Park, while still maintaining our other project purposes. That reservoir you were asking about will go right about here. Capture these floodwaters and then send them out to the Everglades. The Everglades restoration is all about changing the water timing, its distribution, its quality, and reducing the pulses.
So it's kind of around Waxahachie area then?
Right around in here. So in 1920s, like I said, Lake Okeechobee is the second largest freshwater lake in the United States. Hurricane came, sloshed the lake, killed about 2,000 people. Congress told the Corps of Engineers to go build a dam around it. So we built a 720 square mile dam, except it was built in the 20s. Right? It was made out of sand. And that thing, I'll tell you, it leaked. It was dangerous. So over the last decade, we've made a $1.7 billion investment and we put in a deep cutoff wall all around the lake. So really what it is a series of dams that we rehabilitated. You can see how we did it. Each one is unique. And there we are in our heyday, having deep foundations put in to the dike. And you can see here's the lake, and this is Highway US 27, right? So if that lake went over, we get many of our winter vegetables and sugar cane here, so a lot of economic damages would have happened if that lake had breached that dike. We're also a permitting agency. Along with the EPA, we enforce the Clean Water Act. We give permits for builders to fill in wetlands, and we manage 27 million acres of wetlands ourselves. Don't ask me anything about permits because I'm an engineer, but this is how we do our permitting. That's the civil works side. That's the fun side. But we also support the military. 1/3 of the Army is here in the Southeast. Congress just changed the name of a lot of things, so I'm going to kind of use both names. So Fort Liberty also used to be Fort Bragg up here in North Carolina. Fort Jackson, Fort Gordon, Fort Stewart, Fort Moore, which used to be Fort Benning, Fort Rucker, which is Fort Novosel. I'm drawing a blank. And then we have all of our Air Force bases. We also do a lot of work in Central and South America for the Armed Forces. And also work at Patrick Air Force Base and Fort Moore. We have four-star headquarters, 4-star generals that reside here in the Southeast. During the BRAC days of the early 2000s, we built 4 brand new headquarters. So at Fort McPherson was FORCECOM. They relocated up to Fort Bragg. Southern Command in Miami, Florida, they got a new home. CENTCOM at Fort McDill, that's where we fight the war in the Middle East. And the Army Material Command, they're at Redstone Arsenal. So all those commands are within our footprint. We also built a brand new hospital at was then Fort Benning, now Fort Moore. This is built in the side of a mountain, a lot of glass to give the warriors the opportunity to heal. It wasn't just physical healing, but we also tried to provide a facility where they could do the mental healing. Again, it wasn't just a hospital, it was an energy plant, parking decks, and warrior transition facilities for rehab. Fort Gordon, which is now Fort Eisenhower. The Army decided to stand up a cyber command a couple of years ago. We don't fight wars like we used to. Cyber is very, very important. And so we're transforming that fort into the cyber command. Redoing the barracks. We built a cyber center of excellence, which is actually connected to an NSA building. And if I told you what happened there, I'd have to kill you. So, but Army Cyber Command. A big campus where our soldiers will train in cyber warfare and conduct cyber warfare. And again, a lot of infrastructure that goes with that. New barracks, new roads, new access points as we transform sleepy little Fort Gordon into a power projection platform. A couple years ago, Hurricane Michael came through the Panhandle of Florida, wiped out Tyndall Air Force Base. Almost every facility was there. The Air Force came to us and says they wanted to build the base of the future. So we're actively working there right now, transforming that base, basically a clean sheet of paper. You can see the workload. We have 66 projects in 12 zones that we're working, new runways, new hangars, new lodging, new barracks, medical facilities, everything our Air Force would need to train their fighters at Tyndall. We also do international agencies support work. We work for other agencies. A lot of our customers are down in Central and South America, drug DEA, drug interdiction. We support ambassadors building clinics and things for women as they try to get freedom and democracy out, counter drug, and also work for NASA, ATF, FBI, just about every agency that you can think of.
Question, what does CONUS stand for?
I'm sorry, Continental U.S. And OCONUS is overseas. Other than Continental U.S. I'm sorry, good question. I'm the Army, we speak in acronyms. And lastly, I want to talk about emergency response and then open it up for questions. So we are the nation's engineers. No other agency has as many engineers or the ability to contract for engineers like we do. And often we find ourselves addressing emergencies, whether that be through civil works. We have our own authorities, the Stafford Act that allows us to go in and address emergencies. We have Public Law 8499, which allows us to go in and rehab infrastructure. We've responded to the Haiti earthquake. We've been to Australia. We've been to New Zealand. We did a lot of work in South America after Hurricane Georges. And here's the universes of emergency management. It's, response, recovery. We help with mitigation, right? A lot of our projects in preparedness. One of the things that's not on these slides is we built COVID hospitals. I don't know if you remember during the pandemic, we had some missions. We built a hospital in Miami, converted a civic center into about a 240-bed facility. Here in Georgia, in Atlanta, we helped the state of Georgia convert the, which one is that? The Georgia, which one is it in Atlanta by the aquarium? World Congress Center. Yeah, that was a COVID hospital. So we respond to all kinds of emergencies. And again, through our flood control, our disaster relief, support to the DOD, and also anti-terrorism. And we want to provide the technical support the nation needs. So, I went very fast, covered a lot. We have a big mission, but I do have time for a few questions. And if you don't ask questions, I'll tell bad jokes.
Yes, what kind of involvement has the Corps had in western North Carolina, up around Asheville, and that area from the hurricane?
Yeah, so our Mobile district we have the Water Wastewater Center of Expertise. So we mobilized about 12 engineers up there to help get all the water and wastewater treatment plants going. We have a big debris removal mission. We're trying to clear a lower lake. That's a big mission. So debris, we also do emergency power. So if a hospital or a critical facility is without power, we have generators that we can bring in and hook up. And then we do similar missions in South Florida for Milton, and we're also putting on blue roofs for homeowners so they can stay in their homes while they get repaired. So we do a full gamut of emergency response.
So I have a question about the hydropower plant, like all the dams. What would be the typical lifetime for them, for the dams? And at the end of life, are you typically looking at the life to reclassify to a different purpose or decommission that, or what are you gonna do with that dam, like all that huge impact?
Yeah.
Keep maintain it, or and then the life just.
So out west, right, they're taking dams down. Here, our dams, again, a lot of them are multi-purpose projects, and we haven't had the call to take them down. Now, we do go in and rehab our turbines and our facilities so that they, get a new useful life. But I don't think we'll decommission any dams here. There are a few locks that have been decommissioned so that fish can go upriver and spawn. But for the most part, I believe our dams will survive.
What about silt above the dam?
So we do have a silt management program. If the conservation pools get too full, we will dredge them and restore that storage and then manage that silt in some manner in the future.
You mentioned raising the bridge over the Savannah River. Last I heard, they were exploring the possibility of doing a tunnel underneath the Savannah River coming up on the island and then starting the bridge again. Have you heard anything about the latest?
So I have not heard the tunnel scenario. I think that would be very, very expensive. Now Mobile Harbor has a tunnel. But not a tunnel for Savannah. I saw that they were going to loosen the cables on that bridge and try to raise it, but I've not heard the tunnel scenario.
When you do a desilting, what do you do with the silt at the end of the project?
So when we dredge a harbor, so material can go offshore or it goes upland. And often people will come and get it. DOT is one of our biggest people that'll come get it and use material for subgrades. Depending on what the silt in that reservoir, it might go to farmers, it might go to other places where it's useful, but usually it's reclaimed in some way to help the economy.
Is that you guys that did the work in St. Augustine Bay? Or was that somebody else?
St. Augustine Bay. So we do dredge the inlet, and we also do the beach there in Ponte Vedra and
Yeah.
Volano. That's us.
Okay. Anybody else?
Well, thank you for your attention, and I very much appreciate it, and thank you for allowing me to share.
On behalf of the chapter, I'd like to accept this token of our appreciation.
Well, thank you.
For coming out here and enlightening us.
Well, thank you,
Appreciate it.
Jesus.
Thanks.
We hope you enjoyed this recorded presentation given at one of the Atlanta Metro Chapter meetings of the Georgia Society of Professional Engineers, an affiliate of the National Society of Professional Engineers. To find out more about us or to join us, check us out at gspe.org.